So I woke up this morning inspired by the tragic passing of Jason Arday, and I wanted to talk about defining the settler colonial worldview. This is talking about white supremacy. These pages are excerpts from a course that I just posted this morning on worldviews. It's Introduction to an Indigenous Worldview, and we also break down the settler colonial within. So that's available on my website right now. And maybe I'll link it. I'll try to find a way to link it. But let's not let the constant capitalization of the internet get us distracted from our point, which is talking about this person who was a Black academic, an imperfect one. Early in their career, they plagiarized, from what I understand. I haven't looked into the details. But what I do want to say is I saw one slide and it had 9 academics on it. All of them had been accused of plagiarism. 3 of them were Black, 6 of them were white. The Black ones were the only ones asked to step down from their positions. And this is kind of what I want to talk about. Like, I'm white, but I'm a woman, and like I've been in jobs where I get in trouble because I forget a spoon. In a 6-hour shift, I didn't bring one spoon to a table one time. Meanwhile, my coworker, who's a man who's 10 years older than me, has like fully cocaine in his nostril. And he picked a fight with the guests. And so we're working side by side and we're both getting in the same trouble. We're both getting punished the same. But I forgot a spoon and he's on drugs, which is illegal, and fighting, which is illegal. It's tough because people will be like, well, Kylie, you did forget that spoon, and like, I know I did. I know I wasn't perfect in a world that only demands it of me. But it is hard when you look around and you have to make sure that every move you make is, absolutely perfect. Meanwhile, we are absolutely passing so much terrible behavior. And so I have a lot of grace for this person who, like, for whatever reason, purposely or not, broke the rules early on, and probably not even that majorly. And it was probably something that, like, somebody told him, everybody does this, right? Everybody does this. But when you're in a space where people don't really want you there, they find any reason to kick you out. We don't want women there. We don't want people of color there. So you pretend they're allowed in, but then you find any reason to kick them out. So yes, I understand this person did a small thing, but I'm talking about the bigger issue, which is the absolute fucking dog pile and like attempt at destroying his life that happened afterwards. And it was the bullying of white supremacy. So the way I break it down in my course is we're imposing ourselves on others, and then we talk about what is being imposed, and then we talk about where it comes from. So the idea of imposing yourself on others, when I started this breakdown, I knew this was such a good way to explain it, because it really is, within white supremacy, there's the idea that your values are the best, you are the best, everything is better if you're there, and so you get to do and go and impose whatever you want. So one thing that's really interesting about being in academia is like you're studying decolonization, but nobody will do it, right? Because actually decolonizing will give up the power that you got from being in academia, right? I'm too much of a trickster to be in academia. But I have been close enough to know what people are like and how like they want to study, especially in humanities. People would want to study you, but they don't want you to sit beside them as an equal. They don't want you to share your own story or your own worldview. And what's really breaking down, like in this course that I've made, is we have 2 ways of thinking about the world. One is white supremacy and one is indigenous. And here's the graph I'm looking for. Both of those ways of thinking about the world have you make different decisions, have you feel in different ways, create different societies and a different world. So if we let Black academics share the knowledge they want to share, that changes the way the world works. And so controlling the knowledge, being able to decide what counts as smart enough to be in academia, that's a big part of this here, right? So in my course, we talk about the use of land. We talk about eliminating or assimilating people. And this is what happened to Jason Arday. Now, in my course, we go over what is being imposed, and I use the 14 characteristics of white supremacy culture. This is from work by Tema Okun and Kenneth Jones, and they talk about 14 different qualities. I have them written out here as well, and this is what white supremacy is. So there's a point I want to make as well, which is like in shamanism, will often represent people like this, right? Red people, black people, yellow people, white people. And, you know, you could put this over a map of the world even, and we could see how it spreads out, right? Something that's really struck me is like we have black excellence, we have indigenous excellence, we have Asian excellence, but we don't call it white excellence. We call it white supremacy. Because what's actually being passed down is not the values of our cultures. I'm not out here dressing up like Freya, you know. However, we are upholding these qualities. Perfectionism, sense of urgency, defensiveness, quantity over quality, worship of the written word, one right way, paternalism, either or thinking, power hoarding, open fear of conflict, individualism, I am the only one. Progress is bigger, more, objectivity, and the right to comfort. So within this list, I can see many qualities that like, if I'm in a room with somebody and I'm different or maybe better than them, they wouldn't like it because of these qualities, right? Right to comfort, objectivity, individualism, I'm the only one, power hoarding, fear of open conflict. Not only would having somebody with different values or who looks different interrupt some of these qualities, but actually trying to teach different values is also really triggering. I found this myself, trying to teach, like even recently I was teaching and I was told not to teach anything that questions these values. And so, you know, it's just there's a layered way in which you're showing up to kind of poke the bear, right? Even though you're told you're allowed to be there, you worked to be there, you earned your way to be there. And now this section, I'm going to finish on the course today so that when you get there, it's done. But it's about where this kind of ideology came from. I take it back to the witch trials in Europe just because that's what works for the way that I'm talking about things in my wider worldview. These documentaries are extraordinary to learn kind of what happened, right? Teaching people to hate each other was done with religion. And so I actually made a different video yesterday when I kind of started to hear about this, and it was about letting go. Because we often tell people, just let it go, just let it go. And you could imagine somebody like Jason is getting harassed online. He's getting attacked. His family's getting attacked. People who don't even know anything about him are doxing him and like horrific. We're terrible, horrific bullies online. It's part of the reason why I don't put effort into my content because I don't know if I want to be famous online. But like, look at what it does to people. I've been through a round of it and it was fucking brutal. But I created this diagram because this is the hierarchy. Obviously, you can see as we're hoarding power towards the top. And now this is the ideology of white supremacy where you're ignoring all your feelings and ignoring that you're responsible for causing any pain. And I think what happens is we tell ourselves we ignore it and we try to let it go as we climb the ladder, right? Things get better and better for us. We can forget about that hard time that happened because things are so great. But what happens is all of our shit goes down the ladder. And so the white academics who are bullying were dumping their shit down the ladder to try to stay afloat. I've done other videos on hierarchies where I do even have the fire here at the bottom, but it's trying to lift yourself up by putting everybody down. But the problem with that is when you put everybody down, you can't lift yourself up that far because shit's so bad,